Hey everybody, John the Other here. Now, like many of you, I don't follow celebrity gossip. Possibly this is because I'm a man, but even being not interested in celebrity news, it intrudes on my attention. Much like the word Kardashian popping up endlessly on channels where a listener has a reasonable expectation of actual news. But even so, I cannot be the only person who has noticed that within the world of public figures, there seems to be a growing practice of women making sexual criminal accusations outside the framework of law in the spheres of media. I know I'm not the only person who finds this socially corrosive. A society in which criminal allegations are thrown freely about and criminal guilt is decided by, MTV ratings, is not a society with a future, but it's the car we are riding in, and it is at this moment driving off a cliff. And it has been repeatedly pointed out that criminal sexual accusations made outside the courts in the channels of media are a signal that such accusations have no merit. A criminal sexual accusation is a matter for the courts, which is why when describing it we use the word criminal. But in a court there are rules. There is due process, there is inquiry into evidence, there is a legal principle of presumed innocence, and there's a burden of proof on the accuser of a crime. This is why a spurious or a fraudulent accusation made through the channels of law used to be dangerous to an accuser. If you deliberately misled the court or the police, you risked serious legal consequence. By contrast, if a criminal accusation is made as an item of public gossip, then there is no defense. Indeed, if such a criminal accusation is made from behind the blind of anonymity, an accused is savaged and convicted with no real possibility that evidence or the truth is a defense. So why is it that an accuser of criminal sexual offense, one who avoids the channels of law in preference for public commercial gossip, does not become a pariah based on their selection of entertainment media as the channel for making a criminal accusation? Why? Well, the public loves a hanging. And the gorier and more brutal that a public execution is, the better it is loved. You, dear listener, have a bloodlust. In fact, the popularity of slander outlets like Gawker Media trades heavily on the same bloodlust that until 1783 saw about 600 years of celebrating crowds gathering to cheer Monday morning hangings at Tyburn Square. Celebrity slander fills the same social need that public executions once did, with the added facade that we tell ourselves we are more civilized. But are we really? Or have we just adapted our voyeurism on human destruction to pretend that doing so from behind an anonymizing blind is better? In fact, our public ethic seems to now be that accusations made without evidence and without a known accuser are sufficient to establish guilt. Meanwhile, those who criticize this point of view, like me, do so at the risk that they are accused of re-victimizing the victims. Unfortunately, as we have seen from recent history, the rush to public condemnation and collaboration between slander vendors and public fraudsters like the perjurer Lucy Ducouture or self-styled vigilantes like Stephanie Guthrie, there is not a public ethic rejecting criminal accusations made through popular media. It goes like this. Just because all of Jian Ghameshi's accusers were demonstrated as collaborating to mislead the court doesn't necessarily mean that Mr. Ghameshi didn't maybe sexually assault somebody somewhere sometime in a yet undiscovered morsel of not yet reported gossip. After all, we haven't ruled out every possible case of possible abuse yet, have we? There is always another story to tell. This argument is being made by the apologist for Ghameshi's discredited accusers. Sure, these ones were all liars and collaborators, but surely not all of the other 24 accusers would also be liars. After all, how is it they all have such similar stories? Well, the question might be better phrased. Why would their stories be different if they were not inspired by reading about Gomeshi's previous round of accusations to model their own narratives upon. But this returns us to the question of, how does a society do that thing called justice, when accusations made in media, lacking due process, lacking evidence, lacking sober inquiry into the facts, are the basis for termination of a career and social death, while accusers are automatically lionized to positions of privileged victim deity? As guilt and its associated social and economic ruin now come before, or in many cases completely replace, any such thing as due process, there is vanishingly little chance that trial by public accusation is going to go away anytime soon. In fact, for most women, there is no significant recognition of accountability or even wrongdoing in flinging one or more meritless accusations around, because, after all, women do not live in the male world of reputation or with the terrible consequences of its social destruction. They apparently don't even recognize slander as wrongdoing. In fact, we can reasonably expect several years or maybe even several decades of more escalation before our culture begins to turn away from this growing fashion. It won't be until those accusers who casually destroy the lives and the careers and the reputations and the families of men they accuse face a serious consequence that this will change. But neither our courts nor our society at present show any signs that fraud has a consequence for women weaponizing false allegations to target any man they have decided to take down. That doesn't mean there never will be a consequence, but it probably won't come from the courts. It will come from the victims of false allegations, and from those whose lives have been devastated, men with nothing left to lose. It is now easy for a woman to make a false criminal accusation for trivial gain, and with no consequence to her, and it's getting easier. Just the exercise of power to destroy is its own entertainment and motivation, and why wouldn't she? Just what's to stop any woman? It's immoral? What, it's unjust? It's sadistically cruel? Ha! These are men's considerations, and they don't apply to women. Honor is a male concept, which is not to say that women are dishonorable, simply that as we understand the term, honor as a concept is not the water that women swim in. They have a different system. And our courts likely won't even begin to punish false accusers until punishing them for false criminal accusation is the only way to protect them from their victims.